thank you everybody for joining another one of our best practice partner spotlights. We at Redtail, our big philosophy is integrating with as many different tools and toys that you have at your disposal. And so we are trying in 2018 to try and make this more of a regular sort of occurrence where we're bringing on some of our favorite, and I don't want to say favorite, but maybe are some of my favorite, but some of our more popular, more useful, or even newer integration partners to kind of show us what they're all about, tell us what's new, and show us exactly what's going on. And the first one of 2018 is Mobile Assistant. And with us today, we have Corey Westfall, who basically I just say is the head elephant of Mobile Assistant. He pretty much runs the show over there. I worked with Corey I've been with Redtail for almost 6 years, and I've worked with Corey for almost that same amount of time in how we've been integrating with Mobile Assistant. And we got some cool new stuff to show you today in terms of dictation and whatnot. But I don't want to bury the lead. I don't want to steal Corey's thunder. So Corey, with all of that being said, I'll go ahead and I'll just let you take it away, my man.
Oh, thanks, Rick, and thanks to everybody for joining us today. Technical issues aside, we're going to have a really good session today, and I'm going to be real respectful of your time and give you a little expectation on what you can kind of expect here. For this webinar, what we're going to talk a little bit about is I want to introduce everybody to really dictation in general. How other advisors throughout the country are using this type of a tool to help them in their meeting note routine. Talk about the different types of solutions out there and how they stack up. Then I'm going to go through the process, exactly how it works, the different features. One of the biggest features and one of the biggest integration partners that we have is Redtail. Having this integration with your CRM is essential to really making the mobile assistant dictation service the most efficient for you, to have the notes show up right in Redtail where you're going to use the notes. And so Rick's going to help me out today because he's going to show exactly what the notes look like once they go into the Redtail CRM. So that'll be a good part of the show. And then I do have a couple of really cool announcements to make regarding some new enhancements that Mobile Assistant's been working on. There's some things that aren't even released yet that we're working on. They're going to be released probably at the beginning of second quarter. Some new features to go along with their iPhone app. And then I'm going to share a case study at the very end to show you really what the monetary impact can be of dictation in general for you. And so, all with that kind of set up and teed up, I'm going to kind of dive into exactly who Mobile Assistant is. You'll notice there's a big elephant in the room here. We use the elephant in a lot of our marketing. It really works pretty well for us as the idea of, the elephant never forgets. Most of you have heard that saying before. And then we have a little fun with it, and we talk about the elephant being compliance and how the elephant in the room is the documentation of meeting notes that you need to get done. And so the way I really like to describe Mobile Assistant to people is that we really are the human integrated dictation solution. We really are the human version of a Dragon or a Siri. Mobile Assistant prides ourselves in having only US-based transcriptionists that do the work. And so the notes that come back from our clients are done in a really professional, accurate way, and in a way that only a human being that understands your terminology can really do. And so that's who we are. Now, in general, just dictation in general, I'd like to kind of go through really how dictation in general can help protect you. Advisors have been using dictation for a few years now to really help them with their meeting note process. And three different ways that we're able to help protect advisors is, first of all, giving you an easy way of capturing the meeting notes. So when you get out of your meeting, you're going to go somewhere quiet and you're going to speak your notes. Now, having an easy way to capture that information that you just got done meeting with that client, you have all this information in your short-term memory and not in your meeting notes that you took during that meeting. You have to have a way of capturing it in an efficient way so that you can use it and you can have it put into the Redtail CRM in an efficient way. Okay, that's one way dictation helps. Another way is giving you mobile access to your notes. So built into the Mobile Assistant app is a notes section that's going to give you access to every dictation you've ever done. And so in today's world, having mobile access to information for your clients is essential. Any advisor out there, I know on this call today, especially, you know what I mean. When you're meeting with clients now, you're not just meeting with people in office settings. You're doing a lot of different types of work with clients in a lot of different settings. And we're going to give you mobile access to your notes. So within a few seconds, you can pull up every meeting note you've ever had to be able to find that latest information. So you go into those meetings really fully prepared. Now, from a compliance standpoint, every dictation that is done with Mobile Assistant is time and date stamped. So if you ever get to a point where you need to have a record of your interaction with a client and you need to prove anything that has been discussed over the years with that client, you're going to be able to print off a copy of Mobile Assistant's notes. It's going to be time and date stamped. You're going to see exactly when it was dictated, who transcribed it, and when it was done. And so from a compliance standpoint, it really is essential that you're getting more documentation, but we're going to provide an easy way for you to get that documentation without spending more time out of your day. Now, just to talk in more general terms of dictation in general, as far as how they really stack up, everyone on this call has probably heard of the different types of software out there, like the Dragons of the world and Siri. And if you've used that type of software, you're probably very aware that it's only really good for grocery lists and maybe some quick to dos. If you actually try to dictate a client meeting note, with a lot of different terminology, financial terms, you're going to notice you're going to spend so much more time cleaning up that note than you did dictating it. And it's because software, the very best software out there, is still only 68% accurate, the very best ones. So for client meeting note documentation, it's just not good enough. And so the next step up is the different types of services that use human transcriptionists to do the work. Now the problem is that a lot of companies cut a lot of costs and a lot of corners by outsourcing their work overseas. We've had opportunity for years to save a ton of money by just sending everything to different locations offshore. The problem is really similar to the way software really works, is that when the notes come back, you end up having to still spend a ton of time cleaning it up because the quality of the notes you get back just isn't going to be very good. You're going to have to correct a ton of information that comes back to you in those notes. So the very best solution is using US-based professional transcriptionists. This is what they do for a living. They're trained in your terminology. So when you dictate the word fiduciary, it's going to come back and it's going to be spelled correctly, and you're not going to have to spend a bunch of time cleaning up your notes. You're going to really be able to speak your notes the way you want them, and they're going to come back exactly the way you dictated them. Now let's talk a little bit about the process. So right now you have everything that you need to start using a service like ours. You have a phone, you have your Redtail CRM, and you have email. And so when you get out of your meeting, you're going to open up our app and you're going to speak your notes. Now get somewhere quiet. That can be your car, that can be an empty meeting room, but you're going to talk about the recap of that meeting and anything that you want to make sure, like next steps or action items that you want to make sure you're documenting. That's the kind of information that you want to communicate to a service like ours. Now, when you're done, all you have to do is hit the submit button or hang up the phone if you called our dictation line. And within 24 hours, we're going to type that note and we're going to send it back to you. Now, keep in mind, since these are professional transcriptionists, you can say things like number list the next 5 items, or bullet point the next few things, or bold a certain thing in a sentence. You can speak in those ways, like you're talking to a secretary across the desk, and they are going to type it exactly the way that you dictate it. Now, what does a mobile assistant app look like, and what are some of the features that kind of come along with the service? So the app is really simple to use. You open it up. Once you've logged in for the very first time, you're not going to have to put in your login ID and password again. All you have to do is open the app. It's going to bring it right to the record screen. And from here, you hit the record button and the number is going to tick up. So you know that it is recording. Okay. You can even rewind it. You can play it back if you'd like. Now, when you're done with that dictation, you're going to hit the checkbox and it's going to give you a notation at the top that it's been submitted to us successfully. Okay. Now, within those 24 hours, you are going to get these notes back by email, and we're going to send it into Redtail for you. And I'm going to show you really the specifics of that integration here in just a minute. But basically, every dictation that you do, if you start the dictation with the client name, So for instance, in this example that I'm showing here, I dictated on Corey Westfall and I spelled Corey Westfall in my dictation. Now, when I get this note back, Corey Westfall is going to be listed in the subject line. And when I go to the notes section of our app, every dictation that I ever do is going to be in here. And so within a few seconds, I can go be on the way to meet with Corey Westfall. And within a few seconds, pull up every meeting note that I've ever done for him. And so within a few seconds, I can pull up, for instance, the August meeting that I had with Corey and take a look at it. And there's the dictation, there's the actual transcript. So within a few seconds, you really have the power of accessing every dictation and every meeting note that you've ever done with our service. And we will keep them on file forever as long as you're a customer of ours. Now, one of the things that's included with the service is also the ability for you to use templates. Now, a template is simply a pre-designed formatted document. And so we have some simple templates already designed for a lot of advisors that you have access to if you'd like, or if you can even create your own. So a lot of advisors out there have created their own custom templates. And so you can design your template, you can send it into our service, and we will put it on file on your account. So the very first thing you would do at the beginning of the dictation would be to say, use my new client template or use my annual review template. You can have as many as you'd like. You just have to make sure to let us know what the title of those templates are so the transcriptionist can pull it up. And then when you dictate, the transcriptionist will actually fill this template out based on how you dictate it. So it's a really nice tool. It's an easy way of really keeping all of your dictations really standardized and formatted in a really neat and professional way. So if you do want to take advantage of templates, there's no charge for it. It's included with your monthly subscription. So you just have to let us know or give us a call if you want someone to kind of walk you through it. We can do that. We can even help design specific templates for you. With our help, you'll be able to create some templates that are on file that'll make your life a little easier. So you don't have to feel like you're just dictating and just talking for 10 minutes. Now, one of the best features that we have is the integration that we have with Redtail. And so up until this last year, all the notes that would be dictated with Mobile Assistant that go into Redtail would go to a general landing area. Well, in last year, we did some really big enhancements with Redtail that gave you the ability to dictate different types of notes. So now you have the power to dictate a note that goes right to the contact record, a note that goes in as an activity that's assigned to that contact, or a generic note. Okay. Now, I don't want to go through it too fast, but what I'm going to do is give you the 3 different examples, and then I'm going to pass it over to Rick and let him show you what it looks like within Redtail. So the default is that if you dictate the note and dictate the contact name at the beginning, we are going to deliver that note back by email to you, and we're also going to put it in the notes section for that contact record. Okay. Now, the second option is if you want to dictate an activity. So a lot of advisors, the way they're using us is they're dictating the first note after a meeting with a recap of that meeting, everything that they want to make sure that they get documented, gets put into the record in the notes section. And then they'll do another note and they'll say, make this an activity for Corey Westfall, for instance. Now, what we'll do is we'll actually send that into Redtail under the to-dos as an activity for that contact name. So instead of just dictating one note that goes to the notes section, dictate a note that has all the recap of the meeting, and then dictate an activity that would include next steps, action items, anything you want to make sure you're going to act upon after that meeting, and we'll put it in as an activity in Redtail for you. Now, you may find that you're going to want to dictate a generic note every once in a while. So why would you want to do that? So a generic note is going to be delivered to the Mobile Assistant messages section on the dashboard in Redtail. Now, the reason why you might want to do that is because you're going to have the ability to edit that note. So any of the notes that we put into the notes section or as an activity are a permanent part of the record. If you make changes to it, the original is going to still remain there. Okay. The generic note, however, when you go into Redtail and you see that there's a Mobile Assistant note there, when you make changes to it, that's going to be assigned to the contact after the fact. So we don't assign it anywhere until you have a chance to review it. So if there are things that when you're out meeting with clients, if there's something that you know you need to verify, or just some things you know you're going to want to add to that note before it becomes a permanent part of the note section for that contact, all you have to do is start the dictation and say generic note. We will make it a generic note, and then you can edit it once it goes into Redtail. So with all that being said, I'd love to pass this on now to Rick and let him show you really what this looks like within Redtail. I think it'll help everyone to visualize exactly how it's going to work a little bit better within the CRM for you.
Absolutely, Corey. Thanks a lot. So you actually brought up three of the three different types of notes that can be entered in via dictation. I just and I said at the beginning, we've been working for a long time together. That wasn't always the case. Beforehand, it was just you talking a note, and then you can do with it as you please. The integration level that has happened with just simple dictation, just to me as an outsider who came into financial technology with no previous experience, that's really cool to me. And so I want to go ahead. Number one, I want to make sure that my window is full size. We'll make sure that that happens. And then number two, I want to show everybody the different types of notes and how they initially show up in Redtail. So first and foremost, I want to talk about the generic note that you just enter in. You use the mobile assistant app and you dictate a note. What's going to happen is it's going to actually show up on your today page. And by scrolling down here, we see that we have mobile assistant messages. Now, from this list of messages, we see that this is the newest one. It was super early in the morning. But what we can do with this message is click on the action button over to the left, and then we can kind of do whatever we want with it. And this allows for a user such as yourself to, it allows a certain level of freedom, essentially. Basically, it allows us to create an activity directly from this text, create a note directly from this text, or just view the message in general, or delete it when we're done. So if I go back up, if I click view the message, all it's going to do is it's just going to give me the full message to view as it was entered in. Pretty simple, pretty easy. If I want to create a note, what that's going to do is that's going to open up a separate note page with the text formatted already for us. We could then link this to a contact. Like if we wanted to, we could link it to somebody like Marty McFly, and we could go ahead and make sure that that goes to the correct record. The benefit of this is that if we maybe forgot something in the dictation and we wanted to add it in here, it gives us one more level sort of to check it, for lack of a better description. So I can go in and I can say, oh, we also talked about such and such. I'm not going to do that right here just for the sake of time, but that's one of the benefits of creating just a generic note and then actually creating a note from it is it gives you one more level of, of customization. If I cancel out of that, what that's going to do by going back to our today page, it's also going to allow me to create an activity. And again, it's essentially the same thing. If I click create activity, it's going to open up. It's going to take the subject of the message and make it the activity. And then in the description, you're going to see all of that text show up there. And again, we can do whatever we want with this activity. We can add additional attendees. We can link it to, in this case, it's not Marty McFly. It would probably be Zach. So I want to look up Morris. So we're going to link Zach Morris. And then we could also link Zach's wife, Kelly, if we wanted to as well, and create this activity from that message. Once you've done that, once you've created that activity, we'll cancel out of there. We'll go back to our today page. And then we could, if we wanted to, delete this message. This is going to remove it from view in your CRM. The last thing that I want to mention about this is in order to get these mobile assistant messages to show up on your today page, if you are using both mobile assistant and Redtail and you have them tied in, I want you to remember to go into manage your integrations. This is a key component of actually turning on various integrations in Redtail. By clicking on manage your integrations, it allows us to go in and turn on or off certain integration partners. So for example, a mobile assistant is on. If we wanted to turn that off, all we have to do is click this switch, and then mobile assistant is no longer going to be showed on the today page. All right. That doesn't mean the integration isn't working. It actually still, my understanding is that it still will actually work, but you're going to want to make sure that you turn this on by going to your disabled integrations and actually clicking one of the off tabs to on. So you'll find mobile assistant, you'll click it on, and you'll be able to see that. The other two ways that those notes are added into Redtail are via, as Corey mentioned, activity or just a generic direct note. And so here is a great example. We have an activity, a subject that was Cameron Fry. This is tied directly into Cameron Fry's record, and it has the essential notes. We kept it pretty generic when we put in this example here, but it's got your generic notes that we entered in. It's got the information that we added in, and it's all tied directly into that contact record. The last one that I want to show you is a note that has been added directly to the contact record. So if I click on Ferris Bueller here and pull up his latest notes, his top note right here is going to be a mobile dictation note that came in. And we can tell it's a mobile dictation note, number one, because we have this text right here. We can also change the categories of these notes. We can always add additional comments, but those comments have nothing to do with Mobile Assistant and everything to do with Redtail's note taking. And so I wanted to show those off and show you the three different ways that could happen. Those are really, that's really the Reader's Digest version of the three different notes and the three different ways that you can dictate those notes into Redtail. And so I'll jump back to our PowerPoint, Corey, and I'll let you sort of take us home, if you will.
Oh, that's great. Thanks, Rick. And that really does, it helps a lot to see what the notes look like once they get into Redtail.
Right.
Over the years, I definitely found that there was a demand for the notes to be delivered to the specific spot where the advisor wants them. Because at the end of the day, the notes need to go to the note section or be put into Redtail as an activity. As advisors used Mobile Assistant over the years, we got a lot of requests for the notes to go right to the notes section because the notes are so accurate they don't have to be edited. And so that's really what you're going to find when you start using our service, is that you're going to see when you go in to view them and edit the notes, is you're not going to have to waste any time cleaning them up. So when you're comfortable with the notes going right to the contact or as an activity later, we can do that as well. You just have to let us know. But when you first sign up, it is going to give you the new integration where you have these three different options. So I do want to end with a really cool announcement for 2018. And this is the first webinar and really the first time we've announced it to anybody. So we over the years, one of the things that I've always struggled with is how do we make the service easier for the advisors to interact with, so that you understand exactly what questions you need to answer after a meeting. And so what we did is we've created what's called the dictation wizard. Now, this dictation wizard is going to give you the power as the end user to create questions that are going to be read back to you. So as you're dictating, you can have a list of questions that are going to be asked that you're going to be able to respond to. And so it's really kind of like a guide, if you will, for dictation, so that you don't have to feel like you have to have all your notes all organized and you have to have that specific format in your head before you start using our service. You can actually have multiple dictation wizards. So once you do click on the dictation wizard and you click on the one you want to edit, you can create the question here. So this is where you're going to be able to type in the actual question that's going to be read back to you from the app. And so when you go into a dictation, you can, instead of just doing a free form dictate a couple paragraphs of information, you can actually click on dictation wizard and then click on the one you want, and it'll actually show you the question on the screen and it'll read it back to you. So you'll be able to have that kind of guidance, if you will, throughout your dictation, which just will make life a little easier for you and make sure that you don't forget certain things you want to make sure you capture after your meetings. And so that's going to be released here. I'm hoping for the first quarter of 2018. So we're really close. We're in the last kind of beta stages of the testing, but really kind of a cool new feature that I'm excited to bring to the table for everybody using our service. And just so everybody knows, we don't nickel and dime people when it comes to our subscription. We have a flat fee that's going to be about $50 a month. It's going to include the dictation wizard, the templates, the app. There's nothing that's going to be added on. You get about 1,000 lines of dictation for that every month. Included in that price, but we don't nickel and dime you. If you want to use the dictation wizard, we're not going to charge you something extra. So we really kind of just want to make it even more valuable for you with our integrations with Redtail and with these kind of features. Okay. Now, the last thing before I'm going to let everybody go or open it up to some questions is to show everybody a case study that we were able to share with the public here just very recently. So one of our largest clients has used us for 7 years now, and they started with just about 100 reps that were using us. And over the years, they've grown to over 1,100 advisors that are using Mobile Assistant. And what they shared with us is they did a case study. And so what they did is they compared the asset growth for advisors that used Mobile Assistant versus people that did not. And so what they found is that the reps that were using Mobile Assistant were actually adding $400,000 on average in asset growth more per year. And for new hires that implemented Mobile Assistant immediately upon hire, they showed 2 million more in revenue. Okay. Now, for their organization, they saw another $300 million in increased revenue. And one of the even cooler things that they shared with us is that if they actually got 100% adoption of dictation mobile assistant with the whole field, they would show a $450 million revenue increase for the organization. So the reason why I'd love to show this now is because, over the years, it's always been, I've always talked about the time savings that advisors are going to save by not having to type their notes, and the money that you spend having to type your notes or having an advisor type your notes. Now we have some really monetary values to go along with exactly what that time savings means. And so giving yourself another half an hour or 45 minutes a week where you're not typing your notes is going to add more revenue to your business. It's going to give you more time to talk to your clients, to do things that are going to help your client base, and not spend time doing things like typing your notes. When you can have a service like ours do it for you, we really are going to save you some time and save you some money in the long run. Okay. So the very last thing to kind of finish up with is first thank Rick for having me. It was really great being here today, spending a little time with you. I want to make sure everyone understands how to sign up for the service. Redtail really made it super easy to be able to sign up for a trial. Now we have a free trial. There's no obligation. We don't take your credit card. We want you just to use the service and use it with the Redtail CRM integration so that you can see what the value is of using a service like ours after your client meetings. And so right on the dashboard next to Mobile Assistant messages, you'll see there's a free trial button. Now, if you click that, it'll actually pre-populate everything with your name and all the information we need to make the integration work. So once you hit this button that says activate CRM integration, we'll actually send you a welcome email. It'll have everything you need to get started with your login ID, password, directions on how to get started. And we even offer you a free 15-minute kind of training session, if you will, that we can actually walk through exactly what I just did today on the Redtail integration. Our team really are so well versed in how the integration works because we have so many users with Redtail that it really is a really nice 15 minutes for you to kind of get yourself kick-started. If you're looking to use dictation, never used it before, take advantage of it. It's free. It comes along with the trial, and we can really help you to kind of direct you on getting started and answer any questions for you right out of the gates. So Rick, I'd like to kind of pass it back to you. I think our audio is fixed here. So if you have any questions that have come up throughout this presentation, or if anybody wants to kind of raise their hand and let us know, we'd love to answer some questions for you.
Absolutely, man. We got a couple of really good questions, some of which I think that I can answer, some of which that I'll let you answer since you're the head elephant and mobile assistant. One of the biggest questions that we got is this app available for iOS, Android? Is there what platforms is the app available on?
Yeah, great question. So the app is available for both Android and iPhone users. Okay. The only difference is the new integration or the new feature that I just showed you with the dictation wizard and the ability to search your notes is only available with the iPhone and iOS platforms right now. Now, when I say iPhone, I also mean the iPads as well. A lot of people use the mobile assistant app on their iPad and it works fantastic. I love how big it is on the screen. You've got a giant record button that kind of makes the app pretty easy to use. And really, it gives you an easy way of viewing the notes as well. So you've got them on something like an iPad, but it works on all the iPhone, different versions of iPhones that are out there. The Android app, we're looking to upgrade and get it up to speed with the iPhone app development here by the end of the year. For now, we're kind of sticking to the iPhone just because we have a kind of an abundance of iPhone users in our customer base, but we're definitely going to be developing the Android more down the road. So good question.
Nice, excellent. There are a couple of other questions. I know some of them have to do directly with integrations into Redtail. For example, there was a question such as if you stop the mobile assistant service, Are the notes in Redtail going to disappear? And I can say that no. Once the notes are entered into Redtail, once they're locked in, they're going to be there. They are audit proof essentially. That's the whole purpose of taking notes inside of Redtail. So I don't think you'll want to leave Mobile Assistant, but if you do, I know those notes will stay in there. Um, Corey, I think I can answer this one as well, but there was a question about pausing the dictation. I know that
Yeah.
when I was playing with dictation a couple days ago, I could very easily just start and stop the dictation if I wanted to collect myself. And I wanted to double check with you that that's the case.
Absolutely. That's what the record button does. It toggles between the pause and record, and so it's really easy when you open the app. You'll see that because it'll change. The image will actually change to a pause button when you start recording. So it's very easy, and I definitely encourage you to use that feature because you don't have to feel like you have to just talk for 15 minutes. When you're using the service, make sure to get your thoughts organized. Dictate as long as you'd like, but then put it on pause and kind of regather yourself if you want to kind of really try to keep your notes as formatted as possible. It's a good way to do it.
For sure, for sure. And a couple of other questions regarding the integration with Redtail. We had one question asking if it would ever integrate within sections such as like know your client for like actual data fields, as well as Redtail's new service, Redtail Speak. I can say that, and I mean, I never say never. And Corey, I know you're the same way. I never say never, but I would venture to guess that the majority of the biggest purpose for a dictation service like this is history. It's your notes, it's your activities, it's things like that. So I can't see if this will ever integrate into changing data fields inside of Redtail. Um, if it does, it's a long ways away. But right now, I think the biggest purpose for integration such as this are for that history, are for notes and activities. Likewise with Speak. Speak being its own texting service, you're probably gonna wind up using your own dictation services on your phones or whatever to generate speak messages. It's a little bit of a different sort of scenario with Mobile Assistant, but that actually brings up another question, Corey, that I'll give to you. Obviously, you mentioned Siri and you mentioned the other dictation services, but like, what is the big difference between that? Because there are other ones out there. Like, there's Copy Talk. Copy Talk is a service that integrates with Redtail, and Siri works with Redtail. But what's the difference between you and some of those other ones?
Yeah, so that question obviously comes up a lot because when you look at using a dictation service and you're looking at all the different options, it can be a little overwhelming because there's a lot of different solutions out there. Mobile Assistant is absolutely, with unequivocally, the most accurate solution that you can use for client meeting notes. When it comes to the different types of software out there and the services like CopyTalk, the notes that come back are going to have garbles in them. They're going to have misspellings. They're going to have blanks in them, and you're going to end up wasting a ton of your time because when you get these notes back, you want to be able to take these notes and then go on to the next thing and put them away and put them into the notes section. You can't do that if you don't use a service that's utilizing people that understand your terminology and are going to type it correctly. And so that's always been our really the core foundation of what Mobile Assistant is having that super accurate note that's delivered back. I didn't go into it at the beginning, but Mobile Assistant actually comes from my company that started as a medical transcription company way back in 1998. And so for about 16 years, all we did was medical transcription. And as you know, like doctors, they demand that the patient notes that they've got to be accurate. I mean, we're talking about life and death scenarios here. Now, even though we're not talking life and death when it comes to client meeting notes in the financial industry, it's still your client's information. It's their personal information that if it's not done accurately, it can really cause a lot of problems. And so for Mobile Assistant, we're gonna stick to using US based transcriptionists to do the work. And it makes a huge difference in the note quality that comes back to you. So
Yep.
I love that question. I get asked it obviously a lot. And the other difference with Mobile Assistant right now, especially with Redtail, the integration makes a huge difference for advisors, giving you the power to have three different types of notes and have not have the notes just go right to that landing area. with our integration with Redtail, it really is driven by the needs and the requests from the user base that are using us. And so over the years, we definitely got asked to create those kind of enhancements to the integration. The questions about the different ways of using us within Redtail, that's really going to be driven by the needs of our clients. If there's a different way of mobile assistant interacting with Redtail that makes sense for everybody, we're definitely going to look at it, and we're going to work with Redtail to make sure that we make that happen. And so this big enhancement last year was the first one we did in a few years. And so the next one that's coming, I'm sure will be even better, and we'll find new ways of creating different types of data within Redtail for you. For now, client meeting notes is definitely the way that mobile assistants use the most right now.
For sure, for sure. I want to wrap it up with one last question. It actually encompasses several questions, so I think it's a pretty good one. And I know that we've kept people on for a pretty long time, so I want to get them off the call. But the last question that I think is pertinent here is we had questions regarding cost, and we had questions regarding limit. So I think those all kind of fall into one another. You said $50, right? So their questions are, is that per user? Do you have company pricing? What happens if they exceed 1,000 lines? Things like that. So why don't you clear up a couple of those things as well for us, Corey?
No, great questions. And so we have integration partner discounts. And so with Redtail, it's the very best discount we've got out there. It's going to get you 25% off our subscription. And we keep it really simple. You can either have a monthly subscription that comes to, it's $54 a month with a discount. Okay. Or you can have an annual subscription for $600 a year. Now, what comes with that is 1,000 lines of dictation. Now, to give you an idea of what that is, 1,000 lines of dictation is about 100 minutes of dictation time. It's a lot. It covers 90% of the advisors that use us. Now, the question of what happens if you go over that. So we're going to send you a message to let you know that you've gone over that amount that we've got given you for that month. And we're going to charge you 12 cents a line until it resets. Okay. If you pay for the annual subscription, we look at it every quarter. And so every quarter you get 3,000 lines. If you exceed that, we'll send you an email. So you're never going to be cut off. You're always going to be able to dictate as long as you need to. And if we have to charge you more per line, if you've exceeded the amount that you get with the subscription, we'll send you a notification. So you'll never be surprised if you have an extra charge in your account. But like I said, 90% of the customers that use us stay within those limits. It's a lot of dictation. So.
Sounds like it. Well, for everybody on the call today, thank you so much for rolling with the punches with us and dealing with the technical issues. Thank you so much for the questions, really, really good questions. And Corey, again, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for being really malleable with the fun stuff that's happened today. As you can see on the presentation there, if you need to, you can either free trial Mobile Assistant directly through Redtail, as we showed you before, or you can just go straight to mobileassistant.us or reach out to them at the phone number there, Facebook, Twitter, any way you want to get a hold of them and get started with this, you're welcome to. But again, Corey, thanks again for your time, man. I really appreciate it.
Hey, thanks, Rick, and thanks everyone for attending. We appreciate it, and have a great start to your year.
Awesome, guys. Have a great one, and as Corey said, have a great 2018. Thanks a lot. Bye.